It
just blinked red for a second.
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Riff Ranch Podcast.
Welcome to episode 51. I'm going to say this off the top. Bailey was right. I know. Doesn't happen
Bailey
often.
was right.
Bailey was right and told me that last week's episode was 51, and I said, no, it was 50. No, I was wrong. I was right. Bailey was right. This is episode 51 of the podcast. Next week's episode is our anniversary episode. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let me get a nut button.
Before we really start the episode, if you would please... Oh,
Fuck
my
you,
goodness. Kyle done hurt himself in the house. That's so funny. Before at the top of the episode, I want to say, go ahead and like and subscribe, comment, and share. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to see more stuff from the Riff Ranch Podcast, go ahead and hit that bell, that notification icon. We get a notification every time me and Kyle post something funny, deliciously scrumptious for you guys to entertain yourselves to.
I've been connected this whole time, and I was like running around in there like, fuck you, Bailey. And then, I can't wait to listen over this and hear what you were saying while I was like, fuck you, Bailey. And then I started pressing nut button into the mic.
I was doing, all right, everybody, if you want more content for the Riff Ranch Podcast, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe,
and then I'm just in the background,
fuck you, Bailey, fuck you, Bailey, fuck you, Bailey.
That's funny.
Off the top of the episode.
Off the top of the episode. No, that's good. That was a good plug. I forgot to do the plug.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting more in the
I
habit
had
of
nut
it now.
button on in a while.
Oh yeah, special guest nut button.
Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, it's almost like we've got to the point we had finally hit the point in our endeavor to like leave a lot of our bits behind.
Yeah, and then we literally left nut button behind.
Yeah, we left nut button behind, and he's our fucking mascot.
Yeah, he's our mascot. What the fuck? How you forget about nut button?
Oh my god!
Oh my god! You just spilled so much water.
When you ran inside, I heard something, and I could have sworn to God you fell. I was sitting there trying to do the plug.
Fan. I kicked the fan over while
I was trying to do the plug, and I go, "Oh my God, Kyle just hurt himself."
Oh my god,
Kyle just fell. Haha, that's funny. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe.
We're gonna talk about this. Is gonna be another analog horror. Not quite like Vita Carnes. We don't really have one to talk about.
No, we're not necessarily going balls deep in some stuff, but I just have a few that I'd like to talk about.
Bailey did send me a creepypasta, and I think we're going to do it for the next creepypastas episode, but I would like to go balls deep in that one.
Oh, LOL.
LOL.
Somebody made fun of me for doing that the other day.
What?
I said, like, something happened, and I go, LOL. And they were like, oh, LOL?
Yeah, it was funny.
Like, yeah, that's what I was.
I'm doing a little bit. What's wrong?
What? LOL. Sorry. It's like when I go like JK, like why are you talking in text abbreviations now?
What?
OMFG. I did that the other day too. I said OMFG.
OMFG. That's
OMG. I catch myself doing that all the time. It's so fucking stupid.
At the time of this recording, we just made the comic historian special episode. To give you a time,
we just did that last
It's like
week.
mid-June of this recording. I know it's probably like...
Today's June.
This is probably going to come out the beginning of September.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so? Are we that far behind?
No, I mean, we're that far ahead.
But ahead,
yeah.
But like...
Yeah. I mean, the anniversary episode is coming out, the 1-year anniversary of releasing the podcast, which is September 13th.
Is that when we released our first episode?
Yeah, mid-September. So this one's probably going to come out early September.
Wow,
look at that.
Wow, that's crazy. I was imagining it being fucking July.
You thought this was going to come out next month?
Yeah.
Nah, baby boy.
Nah, damn.
Nah, playboy.
We've been fucking at it.
Yeah, we've been fucking gooning.
Yeah, we've been gooning our fucking poor little hearts out.
Yeah. And we hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed us talking about our nonsense, and also I hope you've enjoyed our personal growth. At the beginning of this, Kyle was just a young lad. Now you're going to be big papa man.
Now I'm big.
Yeah. Yeah, you done spurted life into somebody. Congratulations. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Your son's going to be a king among men, crushing puss. Hopefully. Or bus, if he wants bus.
I told Bella that when he's born, once he's old enough to understand me, I'm going to take him outside and be like, you see that, son? Everything the light touches is yours.
Everything the light touches.
You understand that? You can have anything you want.
You're my son. You go out there and you take whatever you want.
Jesus Christ.
Money, pussy, whatever. That's so fucked up.
That is so fucked up.
JK. What do you? What have you decided on a song to play when your son's born?
No, I'm not gonna play a song with myself. Bella would kill me.
No, what? What? Dude, that's like a normal thing. Like a song to play while your child's being born. Like the first thing you like. I know a lot of people who've done that.
That's weird.
Yeah, they get ready and they'll be like the baby's about to come and they'll play. Boom. Like Joe played "Good Day Sunshine." Good day, sunshine. Good day, sunshine.
No,
Yeah,
I
by the Beatles.
don't think we're gonna be one of those type of parents where we're gonna be playing music when the baby's born.
Oh, bro, I already know what I'm gonna play.
What are you gonna play?
Either "Hey Jude" by the Beatles or that song where it talks about "All you ladies pop your pussy like this."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say "Get Low."
Oh, I mean, like anything like that, I would love to play. But like on a realistic note, it'll probably be like
your son comes out to the window,
to the wall, and I'm like, what? And then like later
my
in
son
life,
came out black. That's the best part about this.
That's the funniest part about this whole bit is my son's black and I'm pale as a ghost. Speaking of pale as a ghost, I've been saying I'm Hispanic next to my phone for long enough that my targeted ads are now in Spanish. So I'm officially almost simulated fully into the culture.
What is it we were saying earlier? Fucking damn, you told me something earlier and I was like, well, you're Mexican, so it's okay. Something like that.
It's so funny because I really thought I was more, but it turns out like I'm like so little Hispanic that it really just makes it more racist that I keep bringing it up. Like, and it's so fucking stupid, bro.
I'm so Hispanic that it's offensive.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I go "orale" in public, they're like, "What the fuck is this white boy talking about?
Who is this ambiguous looking motherfucker?
Who's this ambiguous fat bastard?" I don't look Spanish at all. I look like a bug-eyed Eastern European.
You have big lips. It's hard to tell with your beard. Do
I have big lips?
Yeah.
No, I have the tiniest bottom lip.
I'm asking about your racial ambiguity.
Yeah. You can't tell how big my lips are because I have a huge nose. So I mean,
I
that
have
could be
fairly
anybody.
big lips. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, bigger than mine. I got no top lip. I think. How's that? You're smoking reefer.
Oh, you're dying.
Smoking reefer. Is it? But before we get into the thing, do we? What's your biggest? Like, I wouldn't say concern, but like, what's like
having a son?
Yeah. Like, aside from
that he wants to be a girl.
Oh, really? Is that your biggest concern?
It's not my biggest. I just thought it would be funny to say.
He said, no, I would still love my child, but it still is kind of funny, right? That got me for a second. I said, oh shit, Kyle, really? Oh no, cut that out.
Oh no. My biggest concern, I really just want him to be healthy. Like,
yeah.
My biggest concern is that, like, I mean, like, I cannot tell you, like, what a relief it was when we went to the first ultrasound, and, like, I was just so happy he had 5 fingers and 5 toes on every limb.
Yeah, dude, that's a big one. That is a huge concern for me as well with kids because I know. I think it'll change after the baby's born, but I think right now, just like having a healthy baby is my biggest concern. Yeah, him coming out being like, not.
I know it's not okay to say, but like fucking normal.
yeah, just like a regular ass baby.
Yeah,
and like, I mean. Genetics are crazy, but
he's gonna be born by this time. I'm gonna play him this.
Yeah, he's gonna be listening to this.
Son, I hope you got 10 toes, 10 fingers.
Yeah, hope you're. What's your? How many words can you type a minute, kid? So hey, you better pump up those numbers. He looks up at you and goes, gargles or whatever, and you're like, hey, snapping in his face. Hey, game time. Cybersecurity, get on it.
Hey, I need you to tighten up. You're making us look bad.
Hey, you're making us up. Hey, get on Rosetta Stone. Teach him Spanish. His first language is Spanish.
Speaking of which, can you type very fast?
Oh, dude, I got no, I can't.
No, I was trying to learn how to 2 years ago when I was heavy into programming and I was doing it every single day, and I was programming my own website and video games and shit like that. I was trying to learn how to type faster because, I didn't want to be embarrassed when I try to show people my programming shit, and then, they see me over here, so I was I would go on websites and try to type faster, and I type, 40 words a minute.
Really?
Not very fast at all. I can't even do a word. I mean, I said, yeah, 40 words a minute sounds about right. I can't even do a word a second.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
No.
I
don't type very fast at all.
Like when I'm like, I haven't really messed with a computer in a while, but last time I did one of those tests in high school where they test how fast you can type, I can type like 30 probably.
30 is what I was doing when I first tried to start getting to type faster. 30 is what I was doing, and by the end of it, I was doing 40 a minute.
And it I don't know, a lot of the same. I mean, you always keep your hands in the same spot.
Yeah, so that's a big part. Yeah,
it's just like and years of seeing keypads, like I know where all the things are. So even if I don't hit the right thing, like my fingers kind of know where they're supposed to go.
Yeah,
and then but that's why I find stuff like animation and graphic design and computer stuff very daunting, because not only am I dyslexic as hell, but I cannot type very well, and I don't want to seem like a jackass.
That's why I like graphic design and shit like that, because I don't have to type. I just fucking
sit there and fucking scrub away. Just let the art take you. Just let the art invade.
Invade, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. That leads us to today's episode.
That was a good bit of housekeeping.
Yeah. Leads us to today's topic, the invasion of Godzilla. Nut. 666. The invasion of Godzilla.
You want to start with Godzilla? I mean, I guess we should start with one interesting. Get people into it.
That's just the one I know the most about.
Okay, yeah. No, we were kind of getting into it there for a second when we were talking about it inside.
So the invasion of Godzilla, I'm going to pull this up here just as a reference. So the invasion of Godzilla is an animated analog horror by Jacob Animation on YouTube. There's 10 videos so far on this whole little thing, and you guys should go check them out. If you haven't already, go ahead and check them out. We'll probably put a description, put a tag in the description.
Yeah, we'll leave a link in the bio.
Link in the bio, link in the bio, and you guys can go hit that guy and check him out. So it starts off as like the first episode is called the Godzilla Rampage, and
it starts with like regular Godzilla shit.
Regular Godzilla shit. Yeah. It's kind of like this is what happened in San Francisco. I believe it's New York or Brooklyn in the beginning.
Can I just say that of the what is the company that makes the Godzilla versus
Toho?
Kong? No, Godzilla versus Kong. The MonsterVerse shit. I'm not a big fan.
Warner Brothers, I think.
I love the MonsterVerse now. Like, I love Kong versus Godzilla and all that shit. Like, it's just fucking too big. It's kind of like the Transformer movies. You just got two big characters going around hitting each other.
Yeah.
And it's like kick ass. But like the first Godzilla movie, not a huge fan of in that series. Like, I thought it was cool at the time, but I'm a bigger fan of like Godzilla representing like a force of nature, and like him kind of representing that whole hardship that Japan went through, and like them being nuked and shit.
Yeah, and there, I mean, out of all the numerous
Which reminds me, I just watched -1 with Bella the other night, and it was really good.
I've been meaning to. We got Netflix.
I thought you did watch it.
No. I started it, and I got like 10 minutes in, and I was like, I can't sit here and watch this right now.
I was sitting there talking to Bella while we were watching it, and I was like, they only had a budget of $1 million when they shot this, which like sounds like a lot, but for a AAA movie like that, that's not a lot of money. And we're sitting there watching it. And Godzilla shows up for the first time. He's like a monster on this island before he gets nuked, and then he becomes this giant Godzilla. Mm-hmm. But so he's like this monster on the island, and you can tell it's like really bad CGI. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. I can't believe we're watching this in 2024. I can't believe this was in theaters. And then like you get through the movie, and like the first time you see him in the water where like his head is like just peeking up, his eye line is just over the water. The CGI is so fucking good. Like, I cannot explain. Like, it's such a scary scene because you just see his, like,
and it kind of actually looks like the original Toho.
Yeah. No, it looks really good. And it's like, you can definitely tell that they spent all of their money on, like, the later CGI in the movie, like, the second half of the movie. And it's, like, really, they really did a good job, I think.
Yeah, I really need to watch that. I would like to check it out. I really enjoy Godzilla stuff. It's just, I mean, like you said,
Godzilla
two,
stuff.
Like, giant kaijus just going to fucking town on each other, bro. Yeah. There's just something
and it's like if you've seen any of the Godzillas that start the Godzilla storyline, where Godzilla is the one harassing Japan, You've pretty much seen them all. Like, they're all kind of the same shit, you know? Like, Godzilla's this force of nature.
They really are all the same. And even, like, the new movie, they're all the fucking same.
They're all kind of
But what you were saying about the first one, we started off talking about this analog horror, but we're going to end up talking about Godzilla shit the whole time. Which is totally fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with this.
But
if we can do this as, like, a Godzilla analog horror and just weave in our own opinions about Godzilla along the way, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, because that makes sense, though, because this incorporates so much stuff. Like, you can see different parts from other different, like, Godzilla.
I got that impression when you were talking about it, as if it has, like, there's so much. It's so inspired by Godzilla, and not just one thing in particularly. It's like much.
It's like almost every incarnation of it.
It pulls so much,
and so much from Shin Godzilla, if you think about it.
So much from Shin Godzilla, and then like you can even see so much from the comics. Which, like, if you know anything about Godzilla in the comics, he's more of like an eldritch fucking deity almost, more than he is like an actual force of nature.
Smart, right?
Like, I mean, yeah, he is smarter, but no, he's more of like like he's a cosmic horror almost, like in that. Like almost like Cthulhu type, you know?
Ooh, that's scary. That's scary. Cthulhu shit scared me, bro.
Yeah, Cthulhu.
And watch with my luck, dude. Like if people believe that L. Ron Hubbard's bullshit is real, right? They made a whole fucking church around it. Why didn't they do that with Lovecraft? I would have dove head first into that shit. If you told me that shit was real, I would be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna.
Okay, I need to repent.
I need to repent so Cthulhu don't come. Tentacle fuck me in the ass.
No, I believe in the comics, like 3 Godzillas end up showing up, and like the main one ends up dying and going to hell, and he ends up like
dude.
He ends up fighting his way out of hell and becomes this like eldritch like hell demon type thing.
That's fucking awesome.
The
the
comics are crazy. I think Comic Historian does a whole thing on that. Speaking of how we just shot that special, y'all should go check it out.
God damn, dude.
But yeah, the comics are pretty kick-ass. And, like, you can tell from, like, what you told me a little bit about this story, like, they clearly know their shit about Godzilla, because it sounds like they pulled some of this stuff from the comics, a little bit from some of the movies. Mm-hmm. Shin Godzilla's in there, like you said. It's like, these are, like, some real fans of Godzilla, you can tell. The people making this analog horror.
Yeah, it's people who've... And the animation style is really cool as well. It's, I mean, obviously, animation is, like, 2D-ish, but it also, there's so many parts where you can tell it's...
I just want to say real quick, I just realized this is the 3rd analog horror video that we've shot where we were talking about Godzilla. And like, we've talked about Godzilla on 3 different and they're all different analog horrors, I think. But like, I just think that's funny.
I
think they're different analog horrors.
I don't remember talking about this one last time.
No, we definitely didn't talk about this one.
No, thank God.
We talked about
friends of... We just like Japan.
We just like Japan.
Yeah, and Godzilla
the last time we talked about Godzilla,
that's why they make Godzilla is Japan, and that's not a racist innuendo.
That's just a fact.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, hair in my mouth.
You better have more than a hair in there, buddy boy.
The last time we talked about Godzilla on a podcast, we were talking about the guy that got trapped in the suit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then we talked about another one, I believe.
Oh, and that too. That even in and of itself is kind of like. Aspect in this, because of the I don't want to really spoil too much about the whole thing.
No, but I would like to talk about it a bit. We can talk about the infectious part of it and kind of get into it.
And like I said, it's called the Invasion of Godzilla.
That's the first one, right? Or no, the whole thing is called
the Invasion of Godzilla.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like Godzilla is anytime he comes around, he uses his rays and everything. It mutates the land.
Yeah.
So.
He's like irradiating everything around him, basically.
And the only way to like his flesh,
but it's not really a radiation. It's almost like a virus. Like he's fucking infecting.
It's acting as a virus, but it's like a radiation that's changing.
It's almost like a cosmic eldritch radiation.
It's weird. Almost like a cosmic eldritch.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy that like Godzilla is almost like the original like. Cosmic eldritch horror that was put to film, if you think about it.
Oh, you know what? Yeah,
because he was like the first Godzilla was in black and white, and like, yeah, kind of he was. I think that's kind of cool.
Erupts from the deep.
He infects all of these things, and the things that eat them, like the plant life and the fish and anything that he kind of infects. Kind of becomes infected as well.
Yeah, in one episode they show one of the videos they show the chart of kind of how the radiation works.
Is it kind of so I haven't really watched any of it. Is it kind of like Vita Carnis where it's like documentary style, or is it more like
in a way, but it's not like set up per se like that. It's almost like a compilation of stuff about the whole deal, right? But it talks about like there is an organization that's trying to like eradicate the threat, and they talk about the only way to destroy it is dipping smaller pieces in acid or burn it. If it's too big, you got to burn it. So they talk about like if you find any creatures or like anything like that, and that's too big,
I'm
to put in
surprised
acid,
they wouldn't go with like what is it, the hydrogen or whatever approach, because like they do that in Shin Godzilla and Minus, and in the original Godzilla they do. I don't think it's hydrogen now that I'm thinking. It's some.
It's a bomb that sucks the oxygen out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
So they do bring that up.
Oh, do they?
Too. Yeah, the last episode is a kind of an interview with the grandson of one of the original folks who found Godzilla way back in the day. Because they in the story they find him years prior, like in the 50s or 40s or something like that. You know, like when
kind of like in -1, I guess.
Yeah, and he was basically just a type of prehistoric creature.
Yeah.
And they nuked him, and every time they nuked him, he just got stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same way
I don't
with
know
all
if you
the other
got far
creatures.
enough in -1, but it kind of shows that because it shows them dropping the nukes, and Godzilla's in the water unknowingly to the people when they drop the nukes, and it shows like his skin and flesh and everything go away, and then he just like regrows it from the radiation and everything, and just gets bigger, and it's like they kind of show it like while he's underwater in -1, and it's pretty cool.
No, that's a terrifying thought too. Like you just like imagine an unknowing creature just boom, oh shit.
I love the idea from Shin Godzilla when you look at the concept art of like them trying to like fucking nuke him, and he almost kind of splits in half, and then he like grows into like two, like he grows two heads basically.
It's.
I wish they had
he
gone
constantly evolves depending on what he's having to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of the concept art for Shin Godzilla is very like cosmic horror kind of shit, and it's like very Lovecraftian, and I love that. I wish they had gone more with that approach.
Yeah, so like, and it's very like it's more brutal.
It's very Shin Godzilla is gruesome. Very bloody. Like it's probably the most bloody.
Like the one he steps out of land and he's walking through the streets and he's bleeding from the gills because he's breathing air, and he's like body is trying to get rid of his gills.
Yeah,
and then like there's a part where he uses his blast for the first time, and his flesh.
Oh yeah, he shoots out fucking nitrogen or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Like he's got like he's basically blowing out flames or some shit like that.
And it's like.
Yeah, and
and like you can hear the gas coming out of it, and then he like sparks it, and it all sets on fire, and then it like slowly focuses into a beam,
and then that starts to like melt his face. So he's so then he has to adapt to have the plated and everything like that.
And then you see later in the movie, because his face like adapts to having the heat in front of it now. You see later the stealth bombers come in and try to bomb his face, and for like a frame in the movie, you can see his eyes, like metal covers over his eyes, and
he gets the shield over his eyeballs.
Yeah,
which is insane to think.
He just like evolved so much that like they can't beat him basically, and they had to freeze him before he evolved even more. That's such a good movie.
And it's a similar concept with the whole like his flesh leaving him and him being like him looking all.
Oh, his flesh does
like that.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And this is. When Godzilla's
analog
comes out of water, his flesh starts to fall off, and
when he comes out of the water, his flesh starts to fall off.
Yeah, like every time he emerges, he's like at one point he looks normal, and then like he becomes this giant pinkish creature because all of his flesh
skin
is starting
just
to
fell
leave.
off, basically.
Yeah, and that creates different sentient.
It infects
monsters.
More shit, basically.
Yeah. Like full like huge chunks of flesh over giant skyscrapers, and it's just one giant living sentient piece of flesh that's its own creature.
Oh wow.
But it is also Godzilla. Like
that's brutal.
It's like a type of Godzilla type shit. And that
it's almost like the idea of, have you ever seen Underwater with Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, that movie was supposed to set off a series of movies that were kind of like that, like with Lovecraftian undertones.
Yeah.
Because
it's supposed to get a sequel. I heard.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was confirmed for a sequel, but it's not going to be about uh, the survivors from the end of that movie. It's going to be a completely different thing, is what I heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love underwater, and if you watch that, the Cthulhu type monster. I mean, it is Cthulhu, but like the Cthulhu type monster, it's underwater and it has like these other like Cthulhu like creatures, kind of like around it and like on it,
Yeah.
and like that's kind of the idea I get from Godzilla, almost like it's dropping its like flesh, and it has like these creatures that like are a part of it, but not really. Kind of coming off of it.
That's a crazy concept as well, and it was used forever ago. It was already used like years ago with the first Cloverfield movie.
Yeah.
It was dropping fleas off of this creature that were these, giant bugs that were
and
eating
that was like,
motherfuckers.
I was going to talk about Cloverfield for one of the ARG, analog horrors, but it's not really an analog horror, it's more of an ARG. Yeah. And there's so much. They have 5 different websites dedicated to this ARG that go into Cloverfield. And it's like, I've watched so many videos on it before, and it's fucking crazy how deep that whole like rabbit hole gets. And you have to really know how to do ARGs. Like, you have to know a little bit of programming, because there's like one point where you have to like program a password into a website basically to get the information out of it. And like, they made MySpace pages and Facebook pages for like all sorts of characters in those movies. And like so many characters from all of the different Cloverfield movies tie together somehow, because like there's 5 different companies that kind of like all tie it in together.
Yeah,
and
a
it's
lot
like,
of the names.
Yeah, like what is his name? Herbert or whatever, like the guy that has the bunker in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
He worked for the company that was drilling underwater that woke up the monster in the first movie. And like that's a whole other thing, I guess. But it's kind of crazy like how deep the lore gets in Cloverfield when there's only like 3 movies, but it all kind of ties in really crazy together. And it was like, I kind of wish it worked out for J.J. Abrams. Like, a lot of people don't like his movies, but he wanted to do like a...
he fucked up Star Wars. Fuck him. He ruined Star Wars.
He wanted to do like a Twilight Zone thing where like it was an anthology series and none of his movies tied in together. Well, I mean, they tied in through the ARG, but in the movie itself, none of them really tied in together is what he wanted to do. And everyone wanted to just see his fucking Cloverfield monster. And he was like, well, so much for that anthology idea.
That's so fucked up.
It is fucked up.
Yeah,
but anyway,
he's like, you don't like my movie about a new Godzilla? Guess what? I'm gonna ruin Star Wars for everybody.
That's exactly what he said. I think that's a direct quote.
Good luck, Dave Filoni. I hope you do us good.
But anyway, back to
grace, Dave Filoni.
Back to the whole idea that the Godzilla comes out of the water and drops its flesh. It's like flesh comes to life, right? Like
and that's another thing too. At some point, he chooses to drop his chunks.
Is it more like
in the water themselves? So like these water creatures start to.
Do they look like creatures, or is it almost like Vita Carnis, where it's like literally living meat?
Oh well, it's kind of like that living meat. Like there is an episode I was telling you about where it's somebody's walking through a supermarket, and it you did say like don't eat produce.
It started to infect the produce and shit. You were saying
and that was infecting people and causing people to have this virus, and then the people start to turn into Godzillas.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's showing this person's walking through the food court or food mart.
Yeah.
And they turn, and it's this giant just piece of accumulated flesh, and it's
like the ground beef in the produce and like shit like that. All the meat kind of comes together.
All the radiated meat and everything is all just.
That's crazy.
It's insane, isn't it? And then
that's literally like some Lovecraft radiation type shit. Is like what's going on. That's insane. That's a really crazy idea.
It itself into
it's pulling from like the almost like cosmic horror aspect, but it's also taking the idea of like the fear of radiation and kind of like clashing those two ideas together with like cosmic horror and radiation.
Yeah. And basically nowhere is safe because it started to, like, the radiation spread so fast. So it's slowly turning the entire eastern or western seaboard to radiate. So like the only real places that are safe are like northern Canada and everything like that.
Oh wow, really?
So
Because it's too cold for any of these things to live up there.
it just hadn't made it up there yet.
Oh, word.
But there's an episode where here, for reference, let me pull it up on my phone. In order for me to let me say all the names of the episodes in order. So you got the first one, Rampage of Godzilla. The second episode is Post Attack, where it talks about like his flesh leaving, because like he comes in, he's fully scaled and everything, and as he's leaving, going back in the water, all of his flesh is falling off because like throughout the fight and everything.
Yeah.
Third episode is Godzilla Virus, where it talks about its effect on people, and animals and everything like that.
Yeah.
The Army of Godzilla is the accumulation, like where it's talking about the meat all gathering up together.
Does it have a date on any of these? Does it say like a time frame? Like in the video, like would it say like 1990s or like 1950s and stuff like that?
A lot of 90s, 50s, 40s.
Okay.
No present timeline though.
Right. I mean, I figured a lot of Godzilla stuff takes place like after World War II and like shit like that.
But it's all animated, but it still has that like the animation itself is made to look like analogy, which is really cool. And there's some like cut and pasting where it looks like there's real life shit, like real life picturesque footage.
That's cool.
Over top of the animation. I was kind of layered like that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But it also in itself is just animation. It's really like, I don't know how to explain it. Like it's almost like a South Park, how it's laid out like that.
Yeah.
But also animation cut on top of it.
Yeah, it's almost like layers of different animation styles, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a collage of different animation styles, which is insane. But
that's cool.
There's one episode, one of the final episodes. It's I was supposed to say all the names of these.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Ooh,
this is cool. I like this. I'm gonna have to check.
That's Not Our Neighbor. A lot of these are like very short too. The longest one is the last episode, right?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch this episode. So, the fifth episode is That's Not Our Neighbor, and that talks about a couple of different stories of people being in neighborhoods. You're supposed to like turn if you feel like you're irradiated, you're supposed to turn yourself in.
Oh, really?
You know?
Oh, damn.
So people will like move away from the affected areas, which is like San Francisco and the New York area, East and West Coast.
Yeah.
And they'll move to the middle of the country. And there's one where like there's this man just ravagely screaming in the neighborhood, and this guy's outside facing the house, and he's like, "Yo, my neighbor, nut. My neighbor is freaking out and everything." You should check it out. That one's like one of the more scary because it's only 4 minutes, 35 seconds, but it's mostly just intense, agonizing screams.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's terrifying. And then terrifying. And then the seventh episode is the mitosis of Godzilla, where it's talking about like these pieces of flesh.
Mitosis.
The pieces of flesh that are like coming the ones that are closer together, they'll put themselves together.
Are they making another Godzilla?
Yeah. They make whole other Godzillas.
So there's multiple
sizes and multiple Godzillas. Just like an invasion of them. That's why it's called the invasion. And that's why every time he comes up from the ocean, he'll spread his shit and then he'll go back.
And then he's just gonna make more. Holy shit! That's crazy. Terrifying? Yeah, that is terrifying.
And and there's and it talks about like the flesh and all that's going on, but it's starting to affect the zoos.
Yeah,
all the local zoos. So you're getting creatures that are mixing with this Godzilla virus.
Yeah,
and it's creating totally different creatures. But that's how creatures like the other Toho monsters like Rodan and all those guys, Mothra, and all that shit becomes a thing, you know. And it's crazy.
Are they fighting the Godzillas, or are they like kind of?
They're trying to fight them, but there's really nothing they can do. The smaller ones they can get a hold of, and then like you can kind of kill like the ones that are irradiated. But if you're exposed to them at all, you're infected. No,
but like are the Mothras and the Rodans, like are they?
Oh, so they talk slightly about a Rodan, like an egg being found, and they're just waiting for it to hatch, and they're like, they talk about how they want to use the Rodan and the Mothra to like both fight Godzilla, And while they're all fighting, they're gonna drop an oxygen bomb on them bitches and kill them all, right?
Yeah.
But
it don't work out like that.
It don't work out like that. So where was I at in the storyline? So
the things in the zoo.
Oh, the things in the zoo. But the flesh, the mitosis aspect of it, it's mixing the genes together and it's making these other monsters. And there's a few, like it's affecting a few types of plants. It's affecting animals and humans. And at one point, Godzilla comes back to San Francisco. He's wreaking havoc, or he's somewhere along that line. He's wreaking havoc, and it's the perspective of somebody holding the camera, and they're like running away, and they fall over, and they see this. Oh, they don't fall over. They're just running across the street or whatever, and this giant plant, Godzilla. It's like a giant plant, like a flower with like vines and shit. It comes out of the sewer, and it eats Godzilla. Like Godzilla fights him, but he fucks Godzilla up, and he fucking eats him. And the guy who's watching the guy who's watching it is like, oh shit, oh my god, and he tries to run away, and then he eventually dies. But the last episode they talk about the man. It's the interview with the man who says his grandfather was involved with this company and blah blah blah, talking about how Godzilla really came around, and it brings up cave drawings of how like Godzilla and those were already a thing, but they were all parts of pre-existing prehistoric creatures, and our radiation just kind of evolved them to be and made to, but also like in a way they're being recreated through Godzilla's mitosis thing.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So they
they're coming back. The cave paintings and everything.
And at one point Godzilla, he leaks all of his flesh off in the ocean at one time.
Yeah.
So the last part of the episode is this giant creature comes up and it looks weird. It's got weird looking eyes and everything. Walks up onto land and is destroying everything. And like in this midst of fire and brimstone, it spreads its wings out, and it's fucking shit. Mothra. And the fucking Mothra's just going around like burning down the city and all this shit. So but the original plan, like that guy said, and the guy also said his grandfather was the one who invented the oxygen bomb or something.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be used against Godzilla. And there's also a cult involved.
Yeah.
So at some point, a lot of these amalgamations are making themselves into what's called altars.
Yeah.
And those they spread out, and people in the cult are supposed to take sacrifices.
Very like Cult of Cthulhu, almost. Yeah.
But it turns out that people have been worshiping Godzilla for like thousands of years in multiple different like civilizations and shit. But and he's trying to stop it, but I mean, there's nothing he can really do about it. And that's where it ends off on that little.
It's still ongoing, so like we could always come back to it later and talk about it at a later date, and talk about kind of what's been going on since this episode. I was gonna say on that note, I was gonna say it a little bit ago when you were saying like most of Earth has been demolished and everyone's moving to Canada or whatever.
Well, they don't say everyone's moving to Canada, but like there's a chart that shows like where's
the migration.
Yeah, that like where all the infection is. And like the only real places that are clear are up there, and like this big V of like from North South Dakota and all that shit up to Canada.
Yeah.
Like anywhere along the coast is absolutely ruined. And they bring up Antarctica. There's something going on in Antarctica. And that's kind of where it leaves you off.
But it was reminding me of the Godzilla anime. I was going to talk because we've already talked about so many Godzilla properties, and you can see the influence in this. Kind of like how we were talking about this, it clearly takes a lot of influence from so much of Godzilla. You can see some of the influence from the Godzilla anime. I believe it's called Godzilla Earth. I could be wrong, but I was just telling Bailey about the whole thing before we started the podcast. And it's basically like most of Earth has been destroyed, and there's like there's a space system or whatever going on, and like they're shuttling people and getting them on this ship. And they're going to try like one last hurrah on Godzilla before they just basically send the rest of humanity off into outer space. And they try to fucking bomb him. You see him go down, and like you can see Godzilla off in the horizon. Like the main character's watching all this go down as he's shuttling onto the ship, and it doesn't work. They don't kill Godzilla, and he basically just starts fucking decimating and like leveling down the city. And then the main character gets on the ship, and they're in space for like, I can't remember exactly what it is. I want to say it's like 20 years or 22 years or something like that, or could be less than that. But like he basically quickly moves up the system of the military that they have on the ship, because basically like everyone a part of the ship is like in the military now, and like they're all kind of coexisting in this militia that they formed. So like since he's in it his whole life, he kind of like quickly moves up among the ranks. And like while humanity's out in space, they meet like 2 other alien races whose like planets have been decimated, and they all kind of come up with a plan to go back to Earth and figure out a way to defeat Godzilla. And like the biggest problem is that he has like this like electric overshield, like sci-fi kind of shit, very anime bullshit.
Very kawaii.
Very kawaii. And like so they need to figure out like how to EMP his ass and get this fucking shield down so that they can fucking kill Godzilla basically. And so like they figure out how to do that while they're in outer space, and they're like, all right, it's been 20 some years. It should have been like roughly, I don't remember what it was supposed to have been. I think it was supposed to be like a couple hundred years on Earth is what they had calculated. And they get there and like they're going to fight Godzilla. They land on the planet, and there are these like little like wyvern type like dragon things that have like this metal skin. It's like the same kind of skin that Godzilla has, and it's like very difficult to penetrate. And it goes, these like little wyvern things that go around and like eat people, and like fucking, I don't know, crazy shit's going on. And they have to like fight off these things before they get to the the final boss. And they get to Godzilla at the end, and the main character ends up killing him with like this whole fucking Gundam suit thing that he has going on.
And he's like, yeah, I finally did it. I avenged my
Yeah, he's like,
death.
I finally did it. And then you just hear this fucking like gut-wrenching roar, just like what Bailey's doing. And like you hear that, and like they look over, and there's like this fucking mountain moving, and Godzilla wasn't this fucking little ass fucking like Godzilla that they were fighting, because that Godzilla that they were fighting was the same size as Godzilla when they left, and the Godzilla that they left off with is now the size, it's fucking massive. It's the biggest Godzilla that's
the
ever
size
been
of a mountain.
Yeah, like it's fucking huge. And
the tallest mountain in the world is like 6 miles, right? Everest,
something
like
six
6 miles, something like that, or
Yeah.
8 miles. Or something. I don't
he's
know.
miles
But
tall.
miles
for sure.
tall. That's insane.
And he's like fucking. He has like foliage growing off of him. Like it's why it's called Godzilla Earth. Like he's literally like a part of the Earth, and he's like this massive force of nature at this point. And there's 3 of the anime movies, and the second one kind of goes on, and there's like they meet these they're like humanoid type creatures. They almost look like humans, like very anime kawaii girls and shit. But like they evolved from bugs, so they don't speak any human language or whatever. And they're able to communicate like hive mind almost with the other humanoid creatures and shit. But they learn how to communicate with the humans and all the other aliens and shit. And what you kind of learn throughout the second movie is that there's like Mecha Godzilla was used like way back when to try and help fight humanity, and Godzilla basically ripped his fucking head off and killed that motherfucker. And there were like nanobots inside the head of Mecha Godzilla, and it like started to rebuild Mecha Godzilla because it was trying to find any plan to fucking stop Godzilla at all costs. And it ends up building this like massive city around him, so it's like Mecha Godzilla City. And
Oh, thank you. Mechapolis.
Mechapolis. Mechagodopolis.
Mechagopolis. Man, that sounds like a good place to get a zuckin'.
And one of the alien races, it's the alien race that looks like fucking elves. They're like, they start worshiping the Mecha Godzilla head, and they're like, oh my god, this is our savior. This is what's gonna stop Godzilla, and we're gonna have a place to live. And like, the thing about Mecha Godzilla is he doesn't give a fuck about the humans or alien races. Like his whole mission, like his whole programming is to stop Godzilla at whatever cost, regardless of humanity or whatnot.
Which is like how it is in all the old movies and everything. Like in every iteration of Mechagodzilla, it's always like, I don't give a shit.
He's destroying the city with Godzilla. I just
need to destroy Godzilla.
Yeah. So like they're trying to the city's trying to destroy Godzilla, and all this shit's going on, and basically it almost kills everybody. And they're like, shut it down. And it's like, that's I'm not gonna spoil what what happens in the second movie. I also don't really remember how it ends, but like there's a lot going on in that one, and then kind of setting up with the third movie is like the things that evolved from these like bugs or whatever that look humanoid, like little kawaii girls. Um, they have like they're like very ritual and kind of like tribal, and they have like a way of like communicating to their god Ghidorah, King Ghidorah, and King Ghidorah is actually like this energy, three-headed energy dragon monster from a different dimension, and he's made out of like it's like an energy that we don't even have. Like this
it's
energy
almost
almost
like it's just like
it's like an
fourth
eldritch
dimensional being.
Yeah, it's like an eldritch fourth dimensional,
an extra dimensional.
Yeah, but like this material that King Ghidorah is made out of, when it comes in contact to Godzilla's shield, it's able to like completely nullify it. So like they're trying to get Ghidorah out of this dimension, and like its heads are coming through or whatever, and it's stopping Godzilla's shield, but it's also like killing humanity and like just decimating everything. And they're like, oh fuck, we gotta figure out how to get rid of Ghidorah now, and it's a whole thing. And I'm not gonna ruin that movie either. Like y'all should go check out the whole Godzilla anime series, but it's pretty tits.
Dude, I mean any kind of anything with an elf in it, I'm your man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I thought, and Godzilla, the Godzilla anime didn't get a lot of good reviews when it was coming out. It's like kind of okay, but if you're looking for something that's not like your traditional Godzilla, I think it's pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that was on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay, I did start that forever ago. I just never.
The first one's pretty good. I liked the first one. I remember not liking the second one very much, and then the third one is. It's like I think the third one would have been better if I hadn't gone in with the expectation of it being Godzilla, and it was just like I should have just not gone in with expectations. Yeah.
Well, it's just another lizard movie where somebody fights the lizard, and
where somebody fights the lizard, and then most of humanity dies, and then like they, I believe, so I could be wrong. Y'all still go check out the movie and figure it out. But I think the way it ends is like they all just like they can't kill Godzilla, and they're like, yeah, I guess we're just gonna live here with fucking try to coexist with this fucking mountain monster.
Which is insane.
It's either that or they decide, you know what, we're gonna go back into space and wait another 100,000 years.
You know,
it's one of those two things. Y'all should go check it out and let me know in the comments.
To the planet of the original folks.
The planet of the original folks?
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly
that didn't make any sense. The planet of the elf people. Not elf people, goddammit.
There's two other alien races, and both of their planets were destroyed. And I believe it's a whole thing they explained in the first movie where like these two alien races were at war with each other, and then humanity came in and kind of was like a mediator for these two alien races, and then like they've all kind of joined as one like colony of ships basically. But I think as a reference to like the other Godzilla monsters, one of the other alien races' home planets was destroyed by one of the Godzilla monsters, like Rodan or some shit like that. I can't really remember exactly how it was destroyed, but I believe that is like a whole reference.
I enjoy I like the thought of these giant monsters doing their thing, but wouldn't that be just terrifying?
Absolutely terrifying. Like
I would.
And Godzilla's really started this like whole craze of like kaiju and shit. It's like
there's two things I would immediately unalive myself for.
You saw a guy,
giant monsters and zombies.
You'd immediately unalive yourself if you saw zombies.
If I heard one thing of a corpse reanimating, I would kill me and my entire family. I would kill. Not
what about crackheads on the methamphetamines and like being shot several times
that's different. That's
not
running. That's
a running corpse at that point though.
That is a running corpse at that point, but like
he's been shot 7 times point blank by a shotgun, and he's still running with the fucking whatever he stole from the gas station. That's a running corpse at that point. Like,
whatever he stole from the gas station.
Or like people on bath salts eating people's faces off,
that's different because that's that's rooted in reality.
I've talked to Andrew about this before, but I think that if a zombie apocalypse broke out, like it's possible the government like wrapped it up and hid it before it could even be found out. And I was like, I feel like that is a possibility. That like,
yeah, you're right.
I feel
that would be a possibility.
I feel like it's less like because I think the government's fucking stupid at this point. But like, I think it's less of a possibility. But that was definitely an idea I had like 10 years ago, where I was like, I think it's possible.
Like, they'll definitely cover it if they had the chance to.
Yeah,
I mean, they still have like weaponized smallpox and shit like that at the CDC, which is 45 minutes away.
Yeah,
if anything really bad were to happen.
It's why Atlanta's like number 3 on the Russia we're gonna bomb you list.
Yeah, dude. On anyone's like, and on any kind of like, what can we do to ruin the world?
Yeah.
Oh, we're
in the top 3.
It's like the WHO and fucking Germany or whatever, and then
it's like I believe it's usually like L.A., New York, Atlanta. Like those are the top 3 that we're gonna nuke.
Whew. Scary,
isn't it?
But yeah, zombies like immediately. Like, I mean, depending on, I don't know. I don't want to be in that situation.
I think in reality, if we were in that situation, you'd be like, oh shit. Like, it would be, you almost wouldn't think of it like a zombie. I feel like if we were in that, like, not saying the dead rising or whatever, like if it was kind of like a Walking Dead situation where like sick people are like attacking other people, which is kind of like how the Walking Dead starts.
Well, yeah. Like if it was,
I think you wouldn't see it like that. You'd be like, oh damn, those sick, pretty much dead people are fucking attacking us. Like,
I'd be like if it was something like The Walking Dead, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But I'm talking about 28 weeks later, son. World War Z, bro.
World War Z is bad. I'd shoot myself. World War Z.
You talking about? I just watched a person die and reanimate in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the part? You remember the part where like he like gets the zombie blood in his eye and he like runs over to the edge and he's gonna leap off and he's 1, 2, 3.
He's like
4, 5.
He's like waiting because like
7.
everyone who like changes into the zombie like convulses, so he's like waiting for the convulsions and he's gonna convulse over the edges like what he's like waiting on.
Which is like the best thing you could like.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, the best way to handle that situation.
Everyone you've seen.
Like, what's wrong? And he's like, get away. And then after the fact, he looks at everyone and he's like, yeah, you turn in like 10 seconds. So figure that out day one if y'all didn't know that.
Everyone who, like he figured out, it takes 10 seconds and then they start convulsing. Those are the signs for you're changing. So he like runs to the edge. Like that's, what?
Yeah, that's a good movie. I'm going to watch that tonight.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely scared of zombie stuff though. Like if there's two things I'm actually genuinely like terrified of.
Yeah.
Deep water, like deep ocean, like even
it makes me think of Cthulhu.
Yeah, even me being in the river yesterday, I was like, yo, there are fish in here that are as big as me. Yeah. Like I could
a good creepypasta that's like I didn't get it. I didn't think it was that scary. I was just like, oh shit, that's crazy when I listened to it. But like if you have a fear of like deep dark water, there's a good one. I forget the name of it, but basically it's about this guy. He's on a boat and he's like it's like almost a 15-20 minute story, but like it goes through.
What about stairs?
No, it's not about stairs. It's about him, like he's on a boat and he's like looking at the radar or whatever. And like long story short, he sees something on the radar and he's trying to figure out what the fuck it is, and it looks like it could be something massive. And at the very end, I believe he gets like knocked off the boat, or maybe he sees it like come out of the water, and it's like I forget exactly how he words it, but he's like, the scariest part is, I think whatever I saw was only like a piece of the animal, basically. Like he just saw the fin or something, basically. Yeah. He didn't see the whole fucking animal. And it was like so massive, he thought that this would be like a fucking, like big, like he talks about it throughout the whole creepypasta, but like whatever he thinks he sees is bigger than anything he's ever, like a fucking, it's like a megalodon or something in the ocean. And then he finally sees it and he's like, oh, that's just like a fin. Yeah, that's just a piece of whatever this animal is. It's not even a whole fucking megalodon.
I listened to one the other night. It was something about a fishing trip or whatever. But these two dudes are a mile or so offshore on their paddle boards, and they're just fishing. You know what I'm saying? Good sized paddle boards, I guess. They're fishing, and they see this yellow buoy from like a spear gun or whatever.
Yeah,
and they see it coming, and Buddy's like, "Oh shit, that's a shark." So he's like, "Calm down, be still," And it's moving so fast, and he's like, "Oh shit, this is like a great white or something." So they stand still, and it kind of passes, and like the whole time it's really bringing up the tension, And then, and then it comes back later on, like they're doing their thing, and it starts to build tension again, and boom, and it's this giant, like it never says what it is, but it's this giant creature who, like, it ends up eating his friend or whatever, but like it was the whole time I was listening to it, I was like, I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe Mr. Creepypasta has like some old videos on like Godzilla creepypastas. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I think so.
I haven't watched him in a long time, but I'm pretty sure he has something like that.
He does. He does have a lot of underwater ones. Like there was one I remember watching, and it was about a diver, a diver, and there's two actually I want to share about divers. But this one is like he had to go to a certain point, dive down, grab a chain, go all the way down to the bottom, and just wait. Just you had to be there at a specific time, and it would like the job wouldn't even take an hour. It was like a 5-minute job.
Sorry, I'm watching.
And then he'd have to go up, go back up or whatever. And he's down there. He's down there, and he doesn't see anything. Like nothing's going on. And then he starts to feel like this like presence. And it talks like this giant creature goes overhead of him and like stops over top of him and keeps going. And it's so big that he could feel like the weight of it on top of him. But it's like swimming up, but he could still feel that because it has so much mass.
Yeah. And
that one always made me scary. But there's one specifically that was like it's about these divers, and they're just going down like just taking pictures of the animals and shit. And this guy finds his octopus, and this octopus is like talking, like communicating with him, kind of. And he's like, "Oh wow, like this is nuts. Nobody's gonna believe this." And he draws out something. He draws an octopus, and then the octopus is drawing, like, and they're like communicating back and forth through drawings. And then at one point, the octopus he's like, "What are you doing out here?" And the octopus draws this like crazy looking creature on this rock. And he's like, "The fuck is that?" And they're like on the edge of this trench, right?
Yeah.
And there was a rumble, and then there was this like the water started to suck into the trench, almost like the maw of this monster was breathing, like to open,
Yeah.
And like it talks about how
the trench was like a mouth.
Like the trench like had this monster in it who was like just opening its mouth, and it was basically just the equivalent of it coughing is what it was doing, but like it ends up like one of his friends just stops doing what she's doing, and she swims towards it and drops down into the maw of this creature, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And this octopus is trying to like drag him away.
Yeah,
be like, "Come on, let's get out of here," and he's like, "What the fuck?" And the whole point of it in the beginning was like,
what is this one?
I couldn't even tell you the name of it. I'll try to find it though.
This one's cool.
But and that one was genuinely scary to me.
You ever played BioShock?
Yeah. There's the one about the shit underwater.
Yeah, so the first two are about the underwater city, and I don't know. BioShock's a pretty cool series. The first two are more of like horror games almost.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole thing about like the big daddies and little sisters, and like the big daddies protect the little sisters, and like I don't know. I just remember the first BioShock game being like one of the best horror games I've ever played. There's like a lot of good jump scares, and it's like it's a good like horror / shooter game.
And it's got isn't it like a giant time loop?
So yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is the third game you kind of figure out what's going on by the third game. The third game, so the third game takes place before the first two games, and your character goes to the lighthouse from both the previous games. The lighthouse is what takes you down into the underwater city.
Yeah.
But the underwater city hasn't been built yet in this because it's like 50 years before the first two games, and he gets in it, and it like shoots him up into the air basically, and like there are these like fucking like it's a blimp city basically, and it's like this massive like city in the clouds.
I can't remember what it's called.
It's like fuck, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's named after a president. It's like Columbus or shit. I can't remember what the name of the city is. But anyway, Yeah, so there's this giant bird, and it's supposed to be like a precursor to the Big Daddies, and it's like taking care of Eleanor or whatever the main chick's name is. And like the main chick, you can like have her create portals and do all sorts of crazy shit because like she has these weird powers throughout the game. And long story short, this is actually what made me want to play the game, is when I kind of saw the ending of the game, and like you're trying to protect her basically, and it's basically like all kind of a time loop. Like the same thing keeps happening in different timelines to this girl and the main guy you play as, where like they kind of meet each other and he's trying to protect her, and he kind of needs to die in the end in order to kind of protect her basically. But like this same time loop keeps happening over and over. But what I was going to bring up is because like on the idea of like cosmic horror and like fear of like dark spaces and like underwater, like BioShock has a lot of that. The game kind of ends, and like you don't really figure out that all of this keeps happening over and over until like the DLC of the third game. But the ending of the third game is crazy because it's kind of setting up that this keeps happening over and over, but it sets it up in kind of a confusing way where you wouldn't really understand. And the big like bird mechanical creature that's like trying to protect the girl comes after you for the last time. I think it's like the third time you have to do this boss fight with it at the very end. And she basically does like a whole fucking like time reset thing, and it sends y'all into the fucking future. And y'all are in Rapture, the underwater city.
Rapture's the name of the fucking underwater city.
Yeah, Rapture's the name of the underwater city. I can't remember the name of the city in the sky. But
Isengard. No, I'm just
But basically, she like does this whole like time loop thing and sends the three of you into the future. And like the giant ass mechanical bird is like right in front of you. It's about to kill you and try and protect her. And she does this thing, and now you and her are in Rapture. But because the bird was kind of right in front of you, where she put you in Rapture was right in front of some of the glass. So the bird is underwater, drowning now. And it like puts its hand against the glass, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I had to do this," and like puts her hand against the glass, and you can hear it screaming like like in the water, and it's like this loud ass fucking scream. So the reason I bring this up is you can actually hear that scream in the very first game. When you right before one of the boss fights starts towards the end of the first game, you can hear that screaming of the bird going in the background, and that's what that noise is supposed to be. And it's supposed to be a big time loop where basically she brings you and herself and the bird into the final events of the first game.
Huh.
Yeah, BioShock's a pretty crazy series. I can't
Time stuff is difficult. It's just got to be hard to write shit about temporal loops.
Yeah, and shit like that.
Feel bad for somebody who has a narrative about temporal.
Well, we just
loops.
went over an hour. We didn't really talk about Godzilla in the last 15 minutes or so, but I guess.
Hey, but it was an accumulation of things that we.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it related to each other. We talked about a lot of analog bullshit.
Yeah, and if you would like to check out that playlist, it's on Jacob Animation.
Jacob Animations. And it's the Invasion of Godzilla?
Yeah, the Invasion of Godzilla, and it's like a...
Go check it out, guys. Tell us what you think. Like I'm going to check it out after this, and I hope we do a future episode on this, kind of like catching up with what's been going on.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
I highly recommend. What's the name of the Godzilla shit that you was watching?
The Godzilla anime, I believe, is Godzilla Earth.
Godzilla Earth.
Y'all go check out Godzilla -1 is also on Netflix. That's very good.
-1. Check out Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla is on Funimation.
And check out the Riff Ranch podcast.
And check out more of the Riff Ranch podcast coming at you.
New episodes every Wednesday and the occasional.
Check us out on Instagram. If you're listening to us on Spotify.
Can't forget about that.
Yeah,
all of the platforms for podcasts. We
Apple
got you there,
Podcasts.
and every single one of them, you can't miss us anywhere.
Not Google Podcasts for the 5% of you that only listen on Google Podcasts for some reason.
Google Podcasts?
Yeah, remember we talked about this at the very beginning. This is kind of a joke from the very first episode where we talked about
Google Podcasts.
Yeah, we talked about this. We'll talk about this next episode on the 1-year anniversary of Riff Ranch.
The Riff Ranch podcast.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Love you, and we need you. Raise hell, praise Dale.